Hello there. I am so glad that you're here tonight because, A, it's cold, so it's good to be inside and all snuggled up listening to some good paranormal talk radio. But B, because my best friend's here and I actually claim him all the time. People are always so surprised by that. But he is probably one of the most interesting and really good paranormal investigators I know. He's he's investigated all over the world, literally, from Australia to the US to Scotland to England to all around the Caribbean. And it's really funny because I didn't realize he'd been that many places. And we were just having a phone call the other day, and that information just fell right out of his mouth. So, without further ado, Rick Mccallum. Hi.
Oh, there he is.
Here he is. Hey.
I wore my cap so people would recognize me.
Well, that's a good thing because nobody in Scotland knows who you are without that.
That's what I mean. I had to throw it on.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you. We have been having some technical difficulties, and they're all mine. So it's so much fun when, the weather's weird, the energy's weird. It is probably 30 degrees colder than it was the last time I let the dogs out. It's dropping really fast. It's not really 30 degrees less, but it will be by midnight.
Well, let them puppies back in.
David did.
Okay.
Because I was just like, oh no. And I popped my head in because he's watching football. And I said, if you see a dog, you need to go close the back door. Because it's going to be bad.
Well, you leave it open long enough, you might have some other dogs come in too. It looks warm in there.
Well, we'd have birds and squirrels because that's what we've got in our backyard. So sometimes
that's how my dad ended up with a terrier. It used to come and stand underneath the awning when it was raining, and he would let the dog in all the time. And finally, he called the guy up and he goes, "Your dog is down here every night." And he said, "Well, you can have him." He said, "We leave him out. We don't really play with him or anything." So my old man said, "All right." So then he had 3 dogs.
Oh, I have to tell you because this is funny, okay? Because you know my husband. Well, I was going to go watch, cheering and basketball yesterday. So David heard on the news that the pound, it was looking for blankets and food, and they were in kind of a crisis mode, and the whole 9 yards. So he goes and buys all of the blankets that all of the thrift stores he could get to had. And then he stopped and, bought a few of the big bags of dog food to take up there. I'm sitting there watching Amelia cheer, and my text goes off. And I look down, it's a picture of a lab puppy.
Uh-oh.
Well, you know how I am about labs, right?
I know how you are about all dogs.
I can't stand it. And so I was like, did you get her? You got her, right? Are you bringing her home? And bear in mind, I leave Sunday to go to Belize, right? So to be gone for a week. So he was like, no, I didn't bring her home. She is not home. And he's like, but she just got fixed. I mean, she's already spayed and everything. And I was like, well, we need her. So then he shows me a picture of a little terrier that looks like a cross between his dog Bernie and Wally. And I was like, he said, I guess we're getting them both. So we'll see what happens when I get home. But I want to say hey to everybody in chat, and thank you for being here. If you have any questions for Rick, please feel free to put them in there because he is a great conversationalist and we can talk for days without, without a lot. So you just never know what's going to happen when we have a show.
And we generally do talk for days.
We actually do. Yeah. But, it's so it's so fun to get to do this because I was I was interested because you are going to be filling in for me for Fate while I'm on vacation. And you're
Looking forward to it.
excited about that, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. So it's I'm looking forward to it too. I know our listeners will be. It's oh, excuse me. I love doing this show. I think that it is so much fun. And the the history of the show is pretty cool too, and your history is pretty cool. So I thought that would be a good mix.
Well, we
So
know. I mean, you know me pretty well. I mean,
you think?
yeah. So I will try to behave myself.
I do know you pretty well. I'm not banking on that part.
Yeah, well,
So,
I'll tone it down. How's that?
I'm doing well. And I want to say hey to everybody in chat. And I hope that where y'all are, you are warm and toasty. And, you know, like I said, please feel free to put your questions in there because we'll answer them. We just, you know, we just love all the same stuff and a lot of the same people. So we just chit chat away. And I sometimes call when I'm doing a solo show a paranormal chit chat. It's just fun. So, well, you've been doing some stuff with Mikey getting organized and hanging out, haven't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, I talked to Mikey, and he is available for the first. So that's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been doing a bunch of stuff, to be able to have him saw my leg off and put other parts in, So
And
everything,
that's,
hoping it
to me,
comes.
that is absolutely freaky.
Yeah,
So,
well, it's better than hobbling. So, and I just talked to Kane a few minutes ago. That was interesting. I said, whenever you call me, I was expecting you to say, we ride at dawn.
no doubt.
Somebody's getting some whooping.
Well, you know, I'm not going to lie. Kane is very straightforward, kind of abrupt sometimes. I like him. I think he's funny. But
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about him lying to you.
that would be true, even if
He
you
will
might
tell,
want him to sometimes.
yeah, he will tell you straight out. Shut your lips.
Well, you know, the first time I met him was when I met you, and we were doing that investigation at that distillery in
Yeah.
Kentucky, in Louisville. We were at Scarefest, and I had just gotten Fate, you know, the show, and you introduced me,
I know what
introduced me
you're
to.
going to say. Go
That
ahead.
was so cool.
Go ahead.
But
Rat
the
me
funny
out.
part was that I was kind of, I was just kind of flustered and I was excited. And I was like, well, we haven't even announced that yet. And Kane looked at me and said, we just did.
Yeah, we just did.
And I was like, okay, thank you. But so, but Serenity, you can just ask a question there. Just put it in. We don't mind. But I love getting questions.
I do too.
So, well, you've got some investigations coming up. Oh, are we together? No, I'm married to the most wonderful man for me on the planet. And his name is David, and he goes by the Honey Hubster. And Rick is flying solo. So
Rick is in charge of taking care of Cat when we're on the overseas.
He is in charge of cat duty. But we're friends. We're best friends. We've been friends for, I've done this show for 5 years. Yeah, a little over 5 years. So
I want you guys to know how much she picks on me about being single too.
I don't pick on you about being single.
Well, you pick on me. What is my favorite saying when it comes to if a girl likes me?
Must be something wrong with her.
No, and the other one is, I'll just run away.
Oh, well, that is true. He is not very catchable.
Yeah. somebody's going to corner me one day.
Well, you're very elusive.
I
So,
am.
I mean, doesn't bother me, but you know, you are.
I'm like that.
You are like that.
I'm like that.
So, well, I do know that you've got investigations with Kane coming up, public
Yeah,
investigations,
that's
right?
going to be at the American Horror Story House. Can't tell you. It's later in February because we don't want anybody showing up at the place, you know, unless they happen to be, ghosts. That would be quite nice.
That would be cool. And, you know, I don't think that's going to be a problem, though. Ghosts like you.
They seem to. I mean, it is strange. I mean, sometimes it just pops out. I mean, it's not my only thing is that I seem to be impervious to SLS cameras and Ring doorbells.
That's funny, though, because it's true.
Yeah, I went to this one girl's house because she was saying she was having a hard time with real rough spirits. So I went there and was able to shag it on out of there. But she called me next day and she goes, when I came out to get you in the parking lot, when I walked you back out, she goes, I'm on the Ring doorbell, but you're not. I'm like, okay, I should start robbing 7-Elevens if nobody can see me.
Well, that happened with Lori Dorsey, too, who is in chat, by the way.
Yeah, she was, we were in one of the castles, Erf Castle we were in. And we were all sitting around waiting to get the go ahead to go all through the place. And Lori loves the SLS camera. And
She does love that.
she was doing the whole room and everything else. And I look up and she's aiming at me and I smile and wave. And she's still standing there and she's still standing there. And I'm not all that good looking to look at. So I don't know why you're still there. And she goes, it won't map you. I'm just sitting here. I'm not doing anything, And she goes, it will not map you. It's like, oh, well. She's always saying you're on a different vibration than everybody else. So,
Well, you have to be because she had been using that on me in that little foyer area with the chairs.
mhm.
And there was a dog that was in that area with me, and she picked up both of us.
Yeah.
So I know it was working.
Yeah, it's just me.
It is just you.
It's just me. That's why I don't go to country bars anymore. Nobody ever sees me.
Whatever.
Could
You
be
don't go to
that.
country bars anymore because you can't dance with that knee right now. You'll
I
probably be
can't
back
dance
when
with
you
two
get it
good
fixed.
knees. You want to hear something funny? I cannot sing. I sang to my cousin Sherry, who today is her birthday, and the poor thing, I actually really sang right at her. Right? But what's so funny is I can't sing and I can't dance, and I've done both of them in movies. I think what they did, when they're all sitting around casting, they say, "Man, we need somebody who really sucks at dancing," and everybody goes, "Get Rick." So
I would do it.
that they know my strong suits.
That's funny.
Not really. I really wanted to be an entertainer. Well, wait a minute. I've been in 75 movies. I guess I entertain somewhat,
I
but
think probably you qualify.
yeah, but I think most of everything, when people saw me, they went, oh, is he still alive?
Well, you do. Yeah, you are a monster
Many times.
many times.
Yeah, when you get thrown off the hood of a car that's going 25 miles an hour head first into steel barrels, I'm glad I'm still here with only a
I'm
bad
glad you're
knee.
still here too.
Yeah, yeah, I've led an interesting life. Ghosts, movies, stuff like that. And yeah, I have. By the way, I was listening to your intro. I did do quite a bit of ghost hunting down in Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, Hawaii. Of course, that's not the Caribbean, but yeah, I've been to a bunch of those places. I've been to Canada, Mexico, Australia, Scotland, Ireland, England, Switzerland. Yeah.
I think that's so fun. And I'm very excited because I've been to Canada, I've been to Scotland with you 3 times. I'm going to Belize Sunday. And I just can't believe it, right?
You taking your equipment with you?
Of course, I'm taking equipment with me.
I'm sorry, I knew better than to ask.
Well, the fun part is that it's um, a trap rock music event, right?
Mhm.
So beach music. So I'm going with the winches that I traveled to Key West with for years and years until they moved that event. So there's going to be four of us down there, and Katie, who Lori knows, and she is fantastic. And she is so interested because she's sensitive. And so when she found out what I did, she was like, "Can we go?" And I was like, "Yeah." So Lori used to do her birthday party at Mansfield in Ohio, and which you have also done a movie at. And Katie came, and that was so bizarre. That was when there was a big black object was coming for me, behind me. And there was a purple blob between it when it had the little, hands reaching toward me. And it was so funny because my mom had passed away recently. And it's nice talking to you, Serenity. And it was my mom always wore purple, and she was in the Red Hat Society, so she always wore purple and red. And so Katie saw that video before I did, and so she was always interested because I would take equipment with me to Key West. And the first time I took a K2 out, just walking around, she was sold, buddy. She was ready.
Sold.
And
Well,
so now she really enjoys that aspect of, hanging out.
I got to tell you a funny story about Mansfield. To the people who don't know, my male best friend is Kane Hodder, the guy who plays Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th, and he played Victor Crowley in the 4 Hatchet movies. And
He's a
we've
little
done we've
intimidating.
done 30 movies together along the way. But when we were in Mansfield, the guy that was hanging around there was the guy that had the Halloween stuff. They always had the big Halloween thing. And he told us, he said, "Yeah, they got all the dummies and everything else downstairs." Bad move, right? Me and Kay went down and got a dummy, brought it up. And if you've been to Mansfield, I think when you go
Yeah.
through the one thing, you first go through a very small little corridor and then into the things. Well, we took this dummy that looked, it was one of the scary dummies, and put it in the doorway, but just so it was a shadow and you had to lean in and look, right? So me and Kane are walking back to the waiting area. Kane goes, "Do you think anybody will see it?" And we heard this woman, and I walked about another 5 feet. I said, "Going out on a limb, I'm going to say yes." But yeah, that poor girl got so scared.
That's so mean.
We're awful. What can I tell you?
Funny, but mean.
Somebody, Serenity, has a question for us.
She doesn't have a question for us.
It says, "I've got a question for you too." There it is.
I don't see. What's the question?
It says he
Serenity
doesn't.
had a question.
No, she put up. It said he looks familiar. Do you like from a show?
Oh,
Been on a lot of shows. Quite a few times. Yeah, I've done roughly 75 movies and probably over 100 things altogether. And most of the time I'm under monster suits, but every once in a
yeah.
while I get to play a character. In the movie Hatchet 2, I got to play me, and I got chainsawed in half right through the middle of me, right through the top of my head. That's one place that you can actually see me, both sides of me actually. Uh,
That just freaks my brain out.
yeah, I've played some characters. I played a gangster in J. Edgar. I was on there for like 7 seconds because all I do is jump out and kill 15 people. I don't know
Efficient.
why can't they make me the love interest once? Jeez.
Well, because you're tall, you're big,
And I'd run
and
away.
huh?
And I'd run away.
You would run away. I don't know if you would do it if you were acting. I think you might be okay if you were acting.
Well, I can be a total scum when I'm acting. I just play myself. Works perfect.
You're such a nerd.
I am
But
getting excited because Scotland's not that far away in the distance. I mean, it's 6 months away, but it's not a year away anymore.
it's not a year away.
I'm excited.
And I just think that I think that I'm glad that we went the first time, even though that was not the best trip ever
No,
with the management. But the
I've
trip
tried to
was,
make it up for you on the last two.
yes. But I mean, we still had a great time and we still
We
got to
did.
spend time with Scottish Paranormal and we still got to see places, right? It just wasn't organized and
Well, we've made some pretty good
professional.
friends in Scotland. I mean, we got Scottish Paranormal, which to me, I think is the best group in the world. I really do.
I would agree.
And Highland Paranormal, they're very good. And
They are.
and then horror and history and horrors. Is that
History and horror tours.
yeah? That's Lynn Crawford Knight.
Theory. Theory
Yeah,
and Lynn.
yeah. So we've gotten into a lot of places that they say you don't get into. And
Yes.
because I have another friend, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get in trouble, but we've gotten to go into quite a few places nobody else gets into. So that's always pretty cool when we go there.
Yeah, I would have liked for one of the people in that one to have had somebody to talk to before I showed up though. Because ouch.
You talk about are you talking about Mikey?
Now I'm talking about the Writers Museum.
Oh, yeah, well, you know what's so weird? You're a very nice person, and everywhere we went, someone would either swat you or shoot you. It was like,
Well, it was I think that the reason I said that about I wish somebody else had maybe investigated, like really investigated there, because I felt like when I went in that room where his artifacts were, he, you know, and I was paying attention to them. I was, going through everything. And then I realized that I was the only one in there. So I came back in the other room. And when I turned my back on his room, is, walked out and was in that little central room going in. And that's when I got hit. And I think he just was trying to keep my attention because I had, paid attention in there.
well, it's not very kind of him to,
Trying
maybe
to
a
get
tap
my
on the
trying
shoulder
to
and
get
come
me
on
back
back
in there, I
in.
think.
Of course, then tell him what happened at Culloden.
I got shot in
I'm
the
standing
belly.
next to her and she grabs her stomach and bends over and I'm like, what happened? She goes, I just got shot. And I was like, I'm looking around for real people. I'm like, what's going on? And then figured out it was because we're standing on a battlefield. She got a little ghostly shooting. And
Well,
she really reacted too, like, oh,
but it was about the right size for, a musket ball.
yeah.
I mean, and that one was weird because it stayed with me for a while. And periodically it will still show up. I don't know what makes that happen.
When we go next time, I'll try and find places that won't try and kill you. I'm sure David will be happy about that.
Well, it was just, but those were, you hear about paranormal injuries, and I didn't really think that was a thing.
Well,
And
it is true because when I was with Brandy, we were ghost hunting down at the not the Whaley House, the William Heath Davis House in San Diego,
mhm,
and San Diego ghost hunters were downstairs. They were who invited us. They were downstairs and they were doing a session, and we started to walk down the stairs. And she says, "Let's wait up here." And she sat down on the stair, and I went to sit down on one in front of her, and something shoved me in the back, and I almost went head first down the stairs, but I was able to pull it out at the last second, and she screamed. I mean, that was something. And then at Balgoni, my favorite castle, somebody slapped me in the back of the head. You know, it was like, what are you going to do?
Well, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, they've got the drop on you. You know, you don't see them.
You can't see them, and yeah, that was pretty interesting actually. I was worried for you because you got it twice on the same tour. I was like, what's going on
Well,
here?
I was more cautious at Balgoni and at Castle Mingus. That
Well,
was
I got to tell you, the Balgoni is so nice a place to go,
it
and I
is.
got slapped in the head there. I think that was before the Laird really knew me.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite place still. If I had millions of dollars, I'd buy it, live there, not let anybody else come in. Nobody, you hear nobody.
Well, I'm going to tell you that is it's very pretty. It is set in such a good location. I did not know it was so close to the sea,
I,
and
I didn't either.
the, it's just crazy. And but that does explain my hair when we're there, and I didn't know that because it didn't. Because I get island hair, right? Like if anybody watched Friends and Monica, you know, when they went to Nassau and it was like, you know, Monica's hair grew and grew and grew on Friends. My hair goes crazy when I get in the humidity.
I
And
keep mine under control.
you do.
I lock it on. I
But
super glue it on top of my head.
but I just didn't realize why I was having such bad hair the whole time we were in Scotland that first time. And then I was just like, this is weird. So the second time, it I don't remember where we were, but it dawned on me that, oh, that's right. Everywhere we go is an island. Yeah, we're on an island. So, and that's something that you don't really consider because it's a pretty big country to be so sparsely populated in a lot of places. You know,
Well, that's one of the things I like. You're going on a bus and you're looking out and you're seeing green and no
yeah,
people, nothing. I mean, and the fact too that we were staying right next to the North Sea when we were in St. Andrews.
yeah,
Yeah, so I love that place.
I do too.
I wish I could be a student again. I'd go to St. Andrews University and get that same room and just sit in there, flunk out of everything, but look out the window.
It was well, yeah. This past year, we found that room
Which room?
and the common room,
Oh yeah,
and that was such a cool spot because the it was just facing the sea. We watched the storms come in. We watched people playing on the beach. I mean, it was a beautiful place to spend a few minutes.
yeah. Just to describe it to the people where we could see what we could look out. We could see the beach where they did Chariots of Fire, the race down the thing. And
Yeah.
right in front of that is St. Andrews Golf Course, which is the oldest golf course in the world. So, I mean, you talk about a view. And you know what's so funny? Because we were staying at the university because in the summer, they rent them out like hotel rooms, but they don't charge you like hotel rooms. I
No,
mean,
they don't.
and it's so funny to be sitting there looking at the great view and you're looking right across the street at the $400 a night hotels and they're looking at us.
Yeah.
they got
Yeah.
they got to rethink this.
You know,
So,
it's one of those places that you just can't believe you're actually there and that it's like that.
yeah, and
I,
the people are so nice.
yeah.
They're absolutely so nice. But I'm looking forward to getting back to St. Andrews.
You
That's just,
what?
I'm looking forward to getting back to St. Andrews.
Without a doubt.
Well, let me explain this to people because they probably wouldn't understand this. There is a harbor down there. And when I first went down there, I sat there for like 2 hours just sitting on the bench looking at it. One thing that really gets to me is when you see the parents playing with their kids. You almost never see that over here. And when they're walking down the street, they're holding their hands and stuff. It's really family. But there's such a feeling from it. And I told Kat and Laurie, I said, yeah, once you go down there, you're going to be hooked. And you don't know what it is, but you're just like, I like it here. Right? All you're doing is sitting on a little bench looking at the water.
And you like it because there's an ice cream truck there too. But it's so, ama-
That
you
has
know,
something to do with it.
but it's one of the things that got me were the crab traps
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're all colored.
All the equipment they have up right next to the boats is really cool. And something that's really funny. There's a little inlet that's cement on both sides. It's probably 25, 30 yards across. And when you go there, if you go there later on, and the tide has gone out, all the boats are in the mud. They're sitting on the
Yeah, on their
ground.
sides.
Yeah,
That actually is the harbor, right?
yeah, that is a harbor.
Because when we went around to Craig, I think. I do have glasses. I can look at this. But Crail Harbor. And there is a picture of glare.
Now
That's
leave
not,
it up right there because when you go down lower, you get a glare.
yeah. But that's the magnet I got from that little cafe
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
where we sat outside and we were at Crail Harbor because they had one too. It wasn't, or it didn't look as big, but it was more. The stones were holding it. You know, it was enclosed in the stones like St. Andrews,
Yeah.
and all those pretty little boats are just like
Yeah, they're
waiting
all
on the
under-
tide to come
hanging
and
over
get
the
them
side.
back out.
Well, I still think about that girl on the pier. I'm so ashamed of myself.
Tell people about her.
I was just out there. There's a long pier. It's probably 400 yards long.
Mhm.
It goes across the beach and then out in the water. And I was just up on the pier, and it's just all it is rock, and then there's a wall, and then if you go too far this way, you fall off into the
Yeah.
water. And the water's not that deep there, right? So you don't want to be falling off because you're up kind of high. And I'm standing there, and I look coming out of the very end. There's stairs that go down there, so like people that are playing, they can get out. And this girl got out, and her skin looked like Pepto-Bismol. I mean, she was that pink. And I'm looking at her, and she's kind of stumbling, and I'm like, I should go help her. And then I thought, yeah, if I go out, because I was a lifeguard for many years, and I know that you rub their extremities and stuff if they're getting hypothermia and stuff like that. And she was struggling, and I thought to myself, no, if I go out to this girl I don't know and I start rubbing her extremities, I'm probably going to jail, right? Seriously, you never know how somebody's going to take you trying to help them. And I watched her, and as she came by, I was keeping an eye on her in case she fell over or something. Then I would have for sure would have gone over there. And when she went by, I watched her all the way down the thing and kind of followed her. And then she got to that one spot. You remember where the buildings are? And then she walked, and as she turned, she went like this. So I knew she saw somebody that she knew, but I should have helped her. I still feel horrible about not going over there and at least helping, put my arm out and walking her down there,
Well, the thing is that was an American reaction that you had.
Yeah.
Probably you wouldn't have had that issue.
Well, if I would have that issue, I'd do it again now anyway, because I feel so bad about that poor girl because she was struggling, not to the point where she was going to fall over dead, but she was struggling and she needed help, and I didn't do it. So ashamed of myself. Bad me.
Well, you've saved plenty of people. Lori put in chat that she's glad she didn't get smacked at Bannockburn. I am too, because I thought that was going to happen.
Well, that was when they were telling her she murdered the guy,
She
isn't it?
killed them.
Yeah. Yeah. Lori asked, she goes, asked him a question, and it came back and said, well, you killed me. So, I mean, I had to be nice to Lori after that, knowing that she's a certified killer.
Well, the funny part was that we came through that and got to that using dowsing rods. She was getting answers. Well, I had the rods, and you know, it was so very specific, very specific. And
yeah,
I've not seen dowsing rods. And they were adamant in their answers, because it was just like, you know, we're going to do X for yes, okay? Because I know everybody goes, you know, different things, but I like X for yes, because if they don't move, then that's fine. But I was just like, were you in the Battle of Bannockburn? You know, and then we get around to all the other stuff, and then and Lori realizes that this is somebody that she killed in the Battle of Bannockburn. Yeah, there were immediate responses. There was no hesitation. And it was so bizarre because I love using dowsing rods. I think that they are very effective. And, you know, if they're going to work, they're going to work. If they're someplace and they don't, then they're not going to, no matter how long you stand there. But this was somebody that was using them. And Lori was like, I did not mean to do that. I'm not the person that I was then. And it was like, yeah, you are. I mean, it was just like, it was, and it went on for a good while. I mean, it was consistent, and it was the same responses on the same topics. That
well,
was
I'll tell you something about Lori Dorsey. we were walking through the cathedral area in St. Andrews, and we're towards the back. We're walking along, and this car backfires, and she goes, "Get down!" And like a soldier, and I'm standing there, and she goes, "Get down! They're shooting!" And I'm like, "We're like 150 yards away," and I'm like, "I don't care how good a shot you are with a pistol, you're not going to hit me, right?" Yeah. And she's done. I said, come on, get up. Right? That's when the car backfired, but she's got some reflexes, that girl. Boom, she was down. So she might have been at Bannockburn.
See
a connection here? You know, she might have been there at Bannockburn.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that, you know, when she was asking that spirit for forgiveness, because she's like, I don't recall that. I don't think I'm not that person. But if I did that, please forgive me. And it was like, nope. Not
gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
Would be prudent.
We're so crazy.
We've had some weird things happen. You know, in the place that I was just talking about, St. Andrews University, I was there one year by myself, and I was on the 3rd floor, and there was one other guy who was all the way at the other end. I mean, and that's a long building. He was all the way at the other end.
It is a long building.
And I laid down, and I was at the other end pretty much. And I laid down, and I was there for maybe 2 minutes. I was wide awake, just laid down. And right next to me in the next room, or the room after that, was the most blood-curdling scream from a woman. And I mean, I sat there and I went, holy crap. And I went running out the door to, you know, see if somebody's, you know, got hold of her or something. Nobody there. Walked all the way down, back and forth. Nobody. And I was listening to the doors. There wasn't anybody there. So I asked them downstairs the next day, I said, has anybody ever heard any screams? And, oh, no. I said, oh, well, lucky me. Right. So, yeah, so I'm still waiting for that to happen again.
Well, but this year, Well, last year, um, we had Heather Besser,
That's true.
and she told you who that was or what happened.
Well, who was it? Oh,
No, she told you.
no, she
You
didn't know
know,
who. She didn't know who it was, but she told me what happened.
she told you what happened.
Yeah, she said to me, she goes, "How far were you from the stairway?" She goes, "You're pretty close to the stairway." I said, "Yeah, 2 rooms over." And she goes, "It's where they killed her."
Yeah,
And let me tell you about Heather Besser. If she tells you, that's what happened.
she's tripping. I mean, she gave me a reading, and it was the most interesting thing. She was she hit every person that would have been there, and some that I was surprised by.
And when I called you up, I said, "Kat, you have to talk to this girl." So I signed her on you. My fault.
Well, and you know, you don't often do that.
No, but she
She's
was
the only
very
person
thankful.
you've done that with.
Yeah, I mean, she stunned me. I'll tell you what this girl does. Because she's a psychic. I don't know if psychic medium. I don't know the proper words for that, but she sees things. And
Definitely a
and
medium.
and after she was done, and she said, "Then your grandmother will have something to tell me." I said, "Really?
Mhm.
What?" She goes, "Don't forget the glass." And I'm sitting there, what glass? Super Bowl glass, something like that. And let's see, I think it might be right here. Yeah. She loved this poem, right?
Yeah,
So after she passed away, I put the poem and I put her picture in there and stuff. And if you can read what it says on the top,
yeah.
the man in the glass. So I was like, oh my goodness gracious. She pulled that up. I didn't even remember it. And I
What is
was
that
getting,
poem about?
what's this about? It just says, well, I'll read it to you. We got time. When you get what you want in your struggle for self and the world makes you king for a day, just go to a mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your father or your mother or wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. And then it's got another one, but it's the same thing. But she loved that poem.
Well, it's an excellent poem.
Yeah, in other words, you behave yourself, knucklehead.
Well, you know, if you, at the end of the day, if you're not true to yourself and do what you know needs to happen for you, then what have you got?
Yeah, you got a bunch of lies. I'd rather
Yeah,
just say, no, I never did that. Wanted to, never got there. But yeah, it's Heather Besser is
the real
anybody that
deal.
wants to get a reading, go to her. She's amazing.
Well, and you know, the most surprising thing to me was that she asked me when we were talking about her coming on, and she was like, "Well, do you want a reading?" Like she was almost confrontational about it, and I'm like, "Well, if you want to do one, I mean, it would be nice to know what you can do, but it's not necessary. You know, Rick told me that you're amazing." And she's like, "Well, you have a lot of you have a lot of dogs in there. That's not hard to know about me, right?" And but she knew Willow's name and she knew Max's name, but primarily Willow because Willow is who's here mostly. I've actually seen Willow, which freaked me out. Didn't freak me out, it surprised me because I walked in the door and there was this gray dog. She was white, and there was this gray Spitz going by, going down the hallway, and she did the little dog leg into the kitchen. And I was like, hello. But she got Willow's name, and then she's like, Joshua's there. I said, I know Joshua. She said, and there's Scott. I said, I know Scott. And then she was like, and Gordon. I said, I know Gordon. Gordon's my dad. Scott was my sister's ex, Joshua's dad, and he died during the Garcia Memorial concerts in Chicago. And then Joshua was my nephew who passed away. And she got all three of them sitting right there. And there's no way she might have known my dad's name if she researched hard, but she wouldn't have known the other two ever. So to me, hitting my dogs, yeah, that was cool, but that could be found on Facebook if somebody were so inclined. The rest of it, she's the real deal.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I don't think she actually does things, you know, like we call it like a reading. I don't know if she even really does that.
Well, I don't know either, but if she doesn't, people are missing out a lot because, you know, she's very kind, she's very nice, and she's real.
She could. I don't know why she doesn't have her own TV show. I mean,
Because that's hard to get. You always think everybody should have a TV show.
yeah, but if you went to a bunch of producers and let her talk to them, she'd have a TV show.
Well, you know, I don't know. There's some different opinions on that because I think that should always be the case. I think that you should be able to make a living if that is what you have, you know, and a lot of our friends do.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of others aren't comfortable, or their spouses aren't comfortable with it, or whatever the case, they don't really put themselves out there. And it's somebody like Heather, I think it's a tragedy that she doesn't have a platform. I don't know if she does or not. I don't believe that she does have a platform where she uses those gifts often.
You know what I never thought of?
What?
Perhaps she comes across people that she doesn't want to. Maybe sometimes in the reading, she comes across some really horrible people.
Well, I think that all of them do.
I mean, just enough to say, oh, I'm done, you know. But yeah,
I think that all of them, I mean, because you get the good with the bad. And that's just like if you're walking down the street and meet random people, you're going to meet people that are putzes and you're going to meet people who are friends.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. All right, tell them a story because I'm old and I need to go see some other rooms for a minute.
I can do that.
I know you can.
I'm a professional talker.
I'll be right back.
We'll be right here. So, what do y'all want to know? I can tell you all the dirt about Rick. I bet he heard that. But, you know, Carl said, yeah, do it. So, you know, it's really fun because we met at an event and it was like, you know, you meet somebody and it's like, oh man, I've known this person forever. And Lori did too. And so it's really the best, you know, friendship. And we've come together so well. You know, Rick and Lori and I traveled together this year. Last year, it was Mikey Thompson, who you've seen on my show. He's such a good person. And he's actually going to be back the second Sunday I'm gone, I think. But Rick talked to Mikey about coming on with him. So I told him he could find his own people if I didn't care who he talked to. And and Julie, so it was Mikey's person. And so we had the best time. We had our first high tea. I was so excited about that. When we were in Roslyn, Lori and Julie and I went across the street from our hotel and had our high tea. Julie was in charge of the haggis. But I'm talking about our trip before last, about how it was Mikey, Julie, you, Lori, and me. And, you know, it was so fun because I was just getting to the part where Julie discovered how well a K2 works.
That was something. I
She
looked over
was
there
into
and I
that.
saw her by a grave over in Inverness, and she's just going to town.
Yep. Well, she was doing
Converted
it
another one.
when we were in Roslyn. Remember, we went to Temple,
Mm-hmm.
and she was totally into it. And I was using was it a SLS or what was I using, Lori? Where I would see Julie, and then she'd step forward, and I would lose her, and then she'd step back. So there was a zone right there, that headstone that we were at. I didn't have my SLS with me. Thermal. Okay, I did have my thermal imager. But yeah, and I mean, disappearing off an SLS, I could probably buy that. Disappearing from a thermal imager was weird. I mean, that was really weird.
Yeah, it's hard to be completely cold or completely hot, just one after the other.
And it was just 2 steps. You know, step forward, gone. Step back, there she is again. That was cool.
That is cool. It's
And
absolutely
a little
cool.
freaky.
Yeah, I like the thermals.
Well,
Actually,
you can't hide from it.
When we were down in the Globe jail, I actually was using this for my thermal, for the screen. It is pretty good size. And I'm walking along like this in the dark. I walked right into a post. And then a little bit later, I walked into a chair, hit my shin on a chair. And then a little bit later, I turned around and hit my shin on the chair again. You hear me go, "Son of a bitch!"
Yes, you can know where he is when he does that.
Yeah, that hurt. The chairs were attacking me, poles were attacking me.
Well, the old jail was weird. That place, I was actually getting activity. I was on the first floor, the very last cell.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting activity down there. And periodically people would move around and, you know, changing rooms and stuff.
Which jail was this?
Old Sterling.
Yeah, the one I was talking about was Globe down in Arizona.
Ah.
That was pretty good. That's when I did the thing with Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
He and I were ghost hunting together, and then I locked him in the cell.
And he's talking about Dylan Rathman, Tony Rathman's son.
Yeah,
so.
Locked him in there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We've had some pretty good adventures and stuff that I can't explain. I mean,
well, I think that's the best part, though, is when you have something and, you know, you're sitting there like Balgoni, back to Balgoni, but not this year, but last year. That was the weirdest thing ever. And it was the most definitive energy burst that suited the human that we thought we were talking to. I mean, everything was wide open.
Yeah, that's. Well, I remember when the Laird showed up. That was like a bomb went off of energy.
It was.
Like,
that's what I was talking about. That was.
Yeah, we had 3 K2s that went all the way to 5 and locked, and wouldn't. I had to turn mine off, turn it back on. It went locked again. You were sitting there and you had fireworks coming off the REM pod right behind you.
Yes. And the video did not present that way. That's what was so weird, because we're sitting there and I mean, that sucker's going off left and right. And I mean, I'm seeing energy on it. I'm seeing energy on the antenna. And the video that I got, at least, didn't show that. So
I turned around and saw it, and it was like, I've never seen that before.
I know, right?
You know what it looked like? It looked like those things where, you know, they have the 2 things and the things go between them. That's what it looks like.
That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is that? But that was pretty cool. That was
Well,
really cool.
I just loved that we. For those that don't know, I don't know if you've ever watched this show, you probably know. But the most interesting thing was that the Laird and Rick were friends. The Laird passed away after we left the previous year, and this was Rick's first time back at his castle, Balgony Castle, since he passed away. And Scottish Paranormal put us in a place that was unexpected. And Rick didn't understand why we were there. He thought that we would, come across the Laird in the chapel or somewhere else. Well, where we were had a lot of artifacts that he had found wandering around his property. And also there was a model of the castle that he had built with his son and a lot of personal things of his. And on the other side of the door, the next room, was his workshop where he had made all of the doors in the castle. I mean, astounding, man.
Not to mention his own coffin.
He made his own coffin. I mean,
with the date he was born, and then he had the date that he died put on it before they buried it. No wonder we liked each other. Both a little off kilter.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that Ryan, Greg, all of them felt like that was the most personal room to the Laird that was, still there. And I felt like that's why they put us there.
It was nice. The one girl came down. She goes, "You guys came all the way from America. You should be up in one of the big halls. We'll trade with you if you want." And I said, no, we'll stay here. And
they did. She came and offered to change.
Yeah, that was so sweet. But boy, I'm so glad we didn't, because that's the biggest thing I've ever gotten in ghost hunting. I mean, it was just, and the whole group was laughing at me because I'm looking at all the equipment. I said,
"Oh my gosh, yes."
Yeah, sitting there going, "Man, this thing is blowing up. This must be, a spirit that must really know this stuff." And I looked up and everybody's looking at me like, "You're going to catch on sometime?" And I went, "Holy crap, it's the Laird." Yeah, and everything's still blasting up. Yeah, it took me like a few minutes. I was trying to figure out the problem with the K2. And
it took you more than 2 minutes. Everybody was just kind of like,
"Come on, you can do it. You can do it."
I know you're going to get there.
Yeah, but that was really something. But you know what? Do you remember what happened the next night? I mean, that astounded me. I mean, absolutely astounded me. And we had gone and we'd walked everywhere. Some of you may not know, I need knee surgery, need a knee replacement. And we'd walked like 8 miles, according to Lori's little thing. And we went into this cemetery. And I'm walking along with my K2, and I'm going through the whole cemetery, and it does not blink at all.
Yeah.
Right? And now my knee's starting to give way, and I'm looking around for a chair or something. I don't see them. And I see a flat stone, which I know is a tombstone, but if I don't sit on it, I'm going to fall on it. That's how bad it was. And I just said, "I mean you no disrespect, but my leg is really bad. I have to sit down." So I sat down, and the K2 went 5 lights instantly. And this girl that was ghost hunting with me, she saw it and her eyes perked up. And I said, "Do you want me to get off?" Bam, 5 lights again. I said, "Look, my knee is really bad. Can I just sit here for 30 seconds to get my leg to loosen up a little bit?" And it went between 2 and 3 and twinkled back and forth. And at right about 30 seconds, bam, 5 lights. And I went,
"You're done."
I said, "Are you telling me to get off?" And it goes 5 lights again. And then I said, "I'll tell you what, if you do 5 lights right now, I'll get up." Bam, instant. Every one of these things was instant. Yeah. And she goes, "What are we going to do?" I said, "I'm going to get up." Right?
We're moving.
So I told Kat, I said, "I think I'm going to quit ghost hunting." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Look at the last 2 things that happened, the Laird and then this. I'm never going to get anything better than this." And said, "You'll stick around because now you know."
Now we know.
Yeah, that was in the thing we wrote. That was the last thing you wrote down. Now, because now you know, and can't be disputed, both of them.
Well, the coolest thing I think about getting to have those experiences, even the ones that hurt with me, you know, that was such an obvious reaching out. Yours were personal, right?
Hmm.
Those, yeah, certainly the Laird was a personal interaction with someone that cared about you and knew that you cared about him. So not one person involved in that activity had any doubt whatsoever that the Laird was going to show up that day.
I
That was a
hadn't even
given.
thought of it. I was figured he was resting in peace, and that was all good. But yeah,
Well,
he came back with drums and fifes and the whole deal.
he put on a show for you.
Yeah, the whole parade came. Yeah, I'll never forget that. All the equipment going on. You had three fully charged camera batteries
Yep.
drained. I mean, it was, yeah. Well, you got to get the energy from somewhere. You know?
Well, and it was so funny because when Mikey made that video, you know, periodically in the video it says battery drain, cat's camera, battery drain, cat's camera,
Yeah,
battery, and it was not draining. It was just turning off. It was a full charge camera,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
did have extra batteries, and but it didn't pull it just turned it off, and it
yeah,
eventually did drain it, but it was just turning it off, and
yeah.
that was what I was getting frustrated about because I'm like, I want to document this. Quit. And but I did get shots of the REM pod going off, and I was seeing that electrical charge climbing it. I wasn't the only one either.
No, I saw it too.
That did not come across on the video.
Yeah, but it was something. I mean, it was like, what the heck is going on here?
I thought it was going to blow up. I thought the
Yeah.
REM pod was going to blow up.
Well, we've had some things you just can't. We can't deny that it happened. It's just
Yeah.
so strong. And then the seat, sitting on the tombstone. When we went back there, they had a telephone company right across the way blasting everything out. It was,
Yeah.
you couldn't trust the K2. But you know what happened? You guys didn't see this. You came over when we were trying to get it to work, and it kept going to 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and it just stayed on 3 the whole time. And you guys all walked away, and I said, I was here last year, and you really answered me. Could you make it go to 5 just once? Bam, 5. And I went, okay, I'm gone. So
Yeah. That's when you don't stay there and keep talking.
yeah. You know who else doesn't get enough credit for a lot of this stuff? Now everybody knows Ryan, O'Neill, because he's been on TV a lot. And Gregor's been on TV, and he's written, I think he's up to 20, going on book number 24.
Yeah.
And the one that doesn't really get as much publicity is Lee Dunn. And
Lee Dunn is brilliant.
yeah, he's a great medium. And I remember we went back to Coolros, and we went to the toll booth, which is supposed to be extraordinary haunted. And it was me and Gregor, Ryan, and Linda.
Yeah.
And we're up there, and nothing was happening. And the thing that I love about Lee, Ryan looks over and he goes, Lee, are you picking anything up? And he goes, no.
No.
None of this. Oh, I feel a woman in white manifesting in the corner. No.
Yeah.
That's why I like him. And you know what he did? And so did Heather Besser. You know this. For a couple of years, I heard a girl's voice behind me, like 20 feet behind me, go, Rick.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Over and over and over again. And finally, I asked both Heather and Ryan, or our Lee, to give me an idea if they can come across anything. So the very next day, I asked Lee first, and he told me, he says, yeah, I did. He says, I usually get those things when I'm asleep. He says, and this one came in pretty strong. He goes, it's a really pretty girl, blonde girl, Southern, really religious. And, she passed away, but that's who's calling your name. And I said, really? And he said, I said, what's her name? And he goes, Jeannie. And I was like, no, the only girl I know from down there is Jade, right? That would fit that category and fit it perfectly. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. Jade was her model name. Her real name was Jeannie. And I was like, slobber knocked, right? And then asked Heather Besser, and she told me, she goes, yeah, it's a girl, a Southern girl, blonde, really pretty, and the whole same thing. And after she was done it, she told me, she goes, yeah, her name is Jeannie. And I was like, wow, both of them said the same thing.
Yeah.
And I said, she keeps trying to get hold of me. She goes, yeah, she has a message for you. And I said, well, what is it? She goes, she said, if you want to run with the big dogs, get off the porch. How's that for someone trying to get your attention? Both of them said the exact same thing. I mean, that was obvious. But it happened again not too long ago. I got a Rick at Gelson's again. So I don't know if she's going to pick on me some more.
Well, she was she liked you.
She did like me, but I don't know if she liked me that much. She would come down to the home shows and stuff, and we would go to eat. I'd take her to dinner and things like that. And unfortunately, she passed away from cancer. And one of the cutest things, which is really sad, was one of the girls that was an advertising person was really good friends with Jade and had brought her down to meet me in front of the building. Right? She didn't really want to go in. She didn't have enough strength to go through, but she came up. And when they got there, I was standing there with Kathy Sewell, who was like lights up every bell I have. And she's just the nicest person on the planet, beautiful, successful, rich. I mean, everything about her that you'd want to hate. But she came up and she saw them and she didn't want to interfere because we've been talking. She goes, okay, well, I'll see you on the inside. And Kathy Sewell is perfect. I mean, there's nothing about her that isn't perfect. And when she walked away and stuff, Jade said to me, she goes, who was that overweight girl? And I was like, I was going to say, like, I didn't see any, but I realized it was a little bit of jealousy on Jade's part, which I found so endearing. And I said, oh, she's one of the sales agents. She's like Beth, they both do the same thing. But when she said that overweight girl, it was like,
I don't know what you're talking about. Southern women are not catty.
well, I think she saw her as somebody that was an opponent. You know what I mean?
Perhaps a rival.
Yes, exactly. And Kathy Sewell wouldn't, throw water on me if I was on fire. So she had nothing to worry about. Although she did invite me to the CMA Awards, not to go with her, just to go. She said, hey, she had a ticket if I wanted to go. But she's as sweet as she could be. I have to tell you a funny story, though. We had a business called the Home Decorating Remodeling Show, and I was buying the advertising, and Kathy Sewell had already been by. And I was talking to our two sponsors for the newspaper. And I was at the Hilton. I was in one of the suites so that we could actually have people there, not instead of having to sit on the beds and talking to each other. And I get a phone call from downstairs, and it's Kathy. She goes, I've got your schedule. Can I bring it up? I said, yeah, come on. So I told the two girls, I went, yeah, I got to warn you, there's a girl coming up with a schedule. She's kind of new. Everybody knew Kathy. She used to date Keith Urban and take him around, right? And I said, yeah, this girl's kind of new to the business. She doesn't have a lot of money, so she's not wearing the top brands or anything, and she's not that attractive. So just be nice to her, please. So anyway, the door opens and golden light comes from outside, and the harps start playing and stuff like that. And she comes over and she introduces herself to the two girls, and they walk out. She gives me the schedule, and they walk out, and I'm looking at two girls. They're both looking at me like, really? Right? And I went, oh, the really pretty ones come later. Right? And you know what they said? You could tell this was, you ain't right. I said, well, I just had to tease you a bit. But yeah, Kathy was like angels were flying around, and it was funny.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't just say, well, aren't you special?
Yeah, I was waiting for it because I can speak Southern. I lived in Nashville and Texas for a while, and I know what aren't you special? Or isn't that nice? Or bless your heart. Any of the three means just go away.
Oh my gosh. I actually said that to somebody and meant it. Oh, bless your heart. That's just a hard thing. And they were like, why would you say that to me?
Yeah.
Like, well, because I feel bad for what you're going through. That's
Yeah,
just ugly. I can't believe you said that to me. I was like,
I didn't mean it in that
now
tone of
you're the
voice.
one. I mean,
Yeah, it's that's interesting. Well, I am so looking forward to going to Scotland, and you know something that most people don't know about me. I'm very protective. I mean,
yeah.
probably too much so. But during my life, I was trying to figure out the other day, and I realized there was another person that I'd saved their life that I hadn't counted in my group, and I think it's like 13 or 14 people. And I mean,
You know you're responsible for them from now on, right?
oh God, I hope not. One of them
You are. That's
was
part
one of
of
my
it.
roommates. There's some I don't mind. I mean, my brother, I saved him. I saved my dad. You know, other people, but it's so strange. I don't know why. I mean, the little kid in the street. You know, I got to tell the people this because it's kind of nice.
Yes.
There's this one set of stairs that I would go to walk up and down, for exercise. And actually, I usually just walked up and then went around to another set of stairs about half an hour later and come down. But I was walking along and my knee was feeling kind of sore, and I said, you know what, you got to do the stairs. He promised you do them every day, and it'll loosen your knee up maybe. So I walk up these stairs, and they are high. I mean, you've seen them. And I got all the way to the top, and it said, something told me go back down. So I walked back down, which I never did. And I was just standing there. I said, you know what, I should do this again. Right, my knee feels a little better. So I walked up again. I came back down again, and I came walking down the street around this corner, right where you guys were staying, by that one Motel 1. And as I walked there were two Asian ladies. I think they were Chinese. And they looked so much alike. The first thing I thought of was The Shining because they were walking next to each other, the two little twins. And there was a kid that was about 7 or 8 who walked out into traffic. And I was probably 15 yards away. And I just took off running and shagged him back. And they were going, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I went, I just ran. And I just wondered if somebody sent me that way to loosen my leg up enough to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool,
Well, if you're put in a place to be doing a job, you get the tools to do it.
Well, I hope so. But yeah, but I figured it's 13 or 14 people that I've actually saved.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of human you are.
Well, I'm just glad I can do it. But the one that was my most favorite, you were right there. We were walking along up near Edinburgh Castle, and we're walking on the road that's down there. And off to our right are these restaurants, and they have these big cement cones that are probably 2 feet high, and they're like almost like a pyramid, but they're wider on
Yes.
top of the pyramid. And I'm looking up at the thing, and I hit both shins on one of those things and went right over face first into the cement. Now,
Top hat, though.
I did stunts for 43 years. I know how to fall, but when something got both of your legs and just throws your face out, I was able to get my hands and forearms underneath it. And the weirdest thing happened. I hit the ground, and all of a sudden I started levitating. And I was like, well, at least I'm going the right direction.
Yeah.
But it was all the Scottish people saw me filming, all piled on top of me and pulled me up.
And it was so wild because there were a lot of women.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody grabbed you.
Yeah.
I think everybody grabbed, what they could grab.
Yeah.
And you did.
And just up I went. It was like, bless their hearts in the good way.
Well, and it was so cool because they were like, oh sir, are you okay, sir? But they were like, oh sir.
Yeah, they were. That always gets me because that was so cool.
Yeah, I have chapped lips, so I'm not used to this cold weather. But at least we don't have snow or ice
Well,
so far.
Those are two good things. But I'm really just chomping at the bit to get back to Scotland. I really do. I actually almost thought about buying a church. And then Linda Whiteford just said, you don't want to do that. I said, well, a big church, and it's only 37,000 pounds. That's like $50,000, right? For a big church in Cool Ross. She goes, you don't want that one. I said, why? She goes, you need over $1 million to fix it up. That's why they're leaving. She says, and the taxes on it are $30,000 a year. And I was like, I'm out.
No doubt.
Gotta go.
Well,
See you. Bye. But I
are you
would love
talking
to.
about the Abbey up at the top of the hill in Chorus?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it was, but she just said it was there. She's in charge of all those places,
Yeah.
so she's pretty
I
cool.
wouldn't mind having a house there.
I wouldn't either. That'd be like to have somewhere, and verbo it out while I wasn't there. But what
Yes.
would happen is once I was there, I wouldn't want to leave.
Yeah.
I could verbo my own apartment. I think they would frown on that though. Uh,
Well, if she was talking about that Abbey, I spent a pretty good bit of time up there in that place
yeah,
because it was so cool. And
that's the one that had the cemetery next to it.
yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But boy, talk about a walk up the cobblestones. Jeez.
Yeah.
And a walk down was even worse. I had Lori hanging on, because I was afraid she was going to fall. I'll tell you a
And
funny
Greg in
story
front
about.
of you.
I'll tell you a funny story about Lori. When we were out on the tour, we were at Blackness Castle, and you were up in the place where you watch everything, and Mikey was in the other one. You guys were waving down at us, and it started to rain. I said, "Hold on to my arm," and she puts her hand on my arm. I said, "Lock your elbow inside my arm. It's getting slippery." And she goes, "Well, okay." And instantly her feet went out from underneath her, and I went, and I'm holding her up, and she looks up at me, and she just stands there, looks at me, she goes, "Thank you." And I'm like, yeah. And I remember the one time when Mikey was helping her up the stairs, and he conked his head on that cement beam, and I just happened to be far enough behind him to get him, his coat up by his shoulders and was hanging on
Yeah.
him. I was like, this guy's a big dude.
He is a big dude.
Yeah, he's probably 240 pounds. Yeah.
Well, and he's tall too.
Yeah, all dead weight. I'm like, when you stand
That
up.
was in the vaults, the Edinburgh vaults.
Yeah. I have
Gone down. There wasn't any way to get him up.
Well, I wish I could show something on here. I don't know how to do it, but I have 4 pictures from those vaults.
Yeah.
And the first picture I have, and I said, I'm going to take some pictures, and I want you to show up in them if you can. And I took a picture, and you can see all the way to the wall, right? And it's probably 25 yards to the wall, and nothing. I said, well, they say that they see a lady in white down there by that corner, and I take a picture, and I look at it, and there's a white figure. I mean, it's like a white straight up and down line, but it's and it's see-through, and I'm like, I said, well, if that's you, could you come closer? And about halfway through, it's right in the middle of the hallway. And I said, can you come closer? And what looks like a tube of light is shooting right over the top of me on the 4th one. It's
you could send me that and I could put it in there.
well, I think I will do that. I keep wanting to have somebody that knows enough about websites and stuff like that, because I have so many of these things. You've seen the thing of the when I was down in the travel lodge and getting all the answers through the K2 meter. I mean, and I showed the guy that was holding the K2 meter. He kind of got freaked out because I said, "Okay, how many people are here with us, right? And if I start counting, will you light it up?" And I go, 2, and it lights up all 5. And he's looking at me, and his eyes are real big. I said, 3, 4, 5, and he's looking at me. Just he's saying to me mentally, "It just answered you. Why are you doing this?" And I went up to 5, then I went 2, and it lit up all 5 again. He was like, "Oh, I get it now."
Verification.
So, yeah. So stuff like that. I mean, I got so many of those things that you could see, and it'd be like, wow. But I do have to have the best intro of all time.
The best what?
Intro for all time. I don't know where I got that, but it was somebody very talented. Oh, that's right. It was you.
It was me. That was a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do another one because I got more stuff. But I did have this one girl tell me that she would set up everything on YouTube for me. And the one girl that sent me, she said, she's really, really good. And I said, well, I don't want to ask poor Kat Hobson again. She already did one for me. But I didn't talk to her about how much it might cost or anything else. So I kind of ran away.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I need to have a website or something with all that stuff on there because I get so much stuff. So many times people want me to be on their show and stuff, and I always give them my intro here. That came from
Well,
Cat Hobson.
that was so much fun to make because you've got such a history in ghost hunting, and you've got so
But
many
not
places
many
that you.
people know about it.
Well, I know we talk about that. You always yell at me too, but it's just one of those things that I didn't know when I was making that video. I didn't know a lot of the things and places that you had been, and it was just fun.
Yeah, I have been to a lot of places. I mean, and I don't know why, but people, and I always say this, and you read about it. You wrote the foreword for my book, which won the Paranormal Book of the Year award. It just goes back what I'm going to say. People are really nice to me. It's my only superpower.
It's a good one to have.
It is. It's so funny when you go into like Sainsbury. I used to go in there, and the two people would come, "How have you been?" And fine. How you been?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah, I remember the last time I went to the Motel One. I can't tell you. Well, maybe it wasn't the Motel One, but it was one of the hotels I was staying at. And Taylor Swift was there, and I got when I signed in, my bill was enormous because they jacked all the stuff up. And I asked the manager, I said, "Can you come out here?" I said, "I can't afford to stay here at this." And he goes, "Well, if I'll give you $700 off if you say okay, but you have to tell me within the next hour." I was like, "Why?" Right? I said, "Well, okay, do that." Right? I said, "Why are you doing that?" He goes, "Because I'm going to another hotel at the end of the hour." Managing another place. So I can't tell you who it was. But
Right.
he said, "Well, you did talk to me about it last year, so I won't get in trouble." I said, "Okay." So I had a lot of money to eat lunch on.
Well,
So
I'm gonna put out there that I love the Motel One that we stay in
the second
because
one,
it
or the
is
first
right
one?
by my chocolate.
Oh, you're talking about the one that I drug you over to.
Hmm.
Yeah, because you guys were staying at the other one. Actually, that's right where I went out there and ran and got that kid out of the way. But I said, the one you were staying at, they had all these weird stairs and all over the place. I said, "You got to come to mine. It's right where everything is." And then,
No, I mean the one that we stay at now.
yeah,
Now that first one was a maze.
yeah,
That was crazy. But the I love the one that we're at now because we're right across from the Balmoral Hotel. There's an Apple store
Waverly,
if you have a problem.
Waverly
There's
train station. It's right there.
mm-hmm.
Waverly train
Yes, you
station
can
is
get
right across
anywhere
the street. So, yeah, I've always loved that
except
place.
Roy.
It was so fun. I took Laurie and Kat. There's a mall that they built about 1 block away. And we walk in and they're looking, "Wow, this is really something." Then Kat goes, "Ah!" Points up, and I
Hotel
look at it.
chocolate.
No, it's Krispy Kreme.
Yes. Yes. There's a Krispy Kreme in this mall right by our hotel in Scotland.
I brought a Southern girl to a Krispy Kreme place. That you want to get some friends, that's what you do.
In Scotland.
Yeah, and then this chocolate place that they love. They were in there all the time. I mean, it was.
I'm down to my last sleeve though of chocolate.
Oh, we're going back. You can load up. The other place that I really liked was what was it? What was the name of that place? Five Guys Pizza,
Yes.
where I used to get the
Five
burgers.
Guys burgers.
Yeah, I would get the burgers there. What was so nice, there was a lady, I would say was probably 60, 65 years old, that was always at the front counter. And I'd go there every night to get a burger and fries and a chocolate shake, which might explain my high A1C. Right? But anyway, um, she would always talk to me while I was getting the stuff. And I remember one day I went in there and I thought, you know what, I've been spending too much money. I said, I won't get the fries, because I used to get the real big fries. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, she pops out of the back. She goes, here's your order. And I looked inside and she goes, wakes at me. She goes, you forgot the fries. So that's what I'm saying. People are just nice to me. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I did see one thing on Prince's Street. It was right after I blew out my knee really badly in Roslyn when I fell down that hill.
Yeah.
And I'm really limping, and I've got a cane. I'm really limping, and I'm walking along near the wall. And this girl walks by me, and all of a sudden she just shoots by me, and I'm like, right? And there's an older lady just in front of me who's falling backwards, and this girl and caught her. And I was like, wow. I didn't even see her gold tiara or the lasso. I mean,
well, the Scottish people are so special like that, though.
Yeah, except for one let his dog try and steal my apple turnover. That got a little feisty there for a minute. He didn't want me to say anything to his dog, and I didn't want his dog to eat my apple turnover. Right?
Yeah.
So we settled that. Not to his satisfaction, but we settled it. So,
I think that Roslyn is this true? Roslyn is my favorite town without water in Scotland.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's just so old school there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go to the chapel and you go walking around out in the grounds and the 3 different cemeteries, and and then you go across the street. Matter of fact, the place that I always sit is where the guys from Curse of Oak Island were sitting, and I always felt like saying, "Get out of my chair!"
No doubt.
But that place is really cool too. I really like going in there to eat. Of course, there's really nowhere else to go eat, but that's why I like it.
Well, certainly not on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, you know who owns that is can't remember the guy's name from Chapel Cross.
Oh, Richard.
Yeah. Figured I wouldn't remember that. Just my name. Richard.
I know, right?
His father owns that place and the restaurant.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he was so cool one day. I went to get up to go to the bathroom, and I put my hand on the edge of the plate, and it went up in the air all over me. Right. And I came back out, and all the stuff that I had ordered was back on the table, and everything was cleaned up. I said, well, I was going to clean it up. And I said, I'll pay for it. And he goes, no, you certainly will not. And I said, well, it wasn't your fault. I'm a klutz. Right. But he goes, no problem. So,
yeah.
And Amy's always been really nice to me.
Amy's amazing.
Yeah, she grabbed my face and said, what is this? Remember that? And you told me, she's those face scrapes on his pillow.
I bet it is still sore. She's a feisty little thing. Yeah. But, what really, it bothered me the first time that I went into the cafe, because they are right in front of the laboratory where the sheep was cloned. And I noticed last year they had moved the picture so it's not the first thing you see when you sit down for breakfast. Yeah. But they have a picture of the sheep attached to all the machines with all the stuff, and she's just like,
Well, they named the place Dolly's.
I know, it's Dolly's Cafe.
Yeah, after the sheep.
And Lori said good oatmeal. They have great oatmeal. And their bread is homemade.
Well, it was funny. There was a girl when I first started going there, this is a long time ago. And a lot of times I'd be the only person there, right? Yeah. So she would come over and she would sit down and talk to me while I was eating. And she was 15, maybe 16. Yeah. And I said, you know what? How would you like to be in my magazine? Because I had an online magazine, which I'd like to start again. If anybody out there knows how to do it, it's Rick on Rick Mccallum on Facebook. But anyway, or Ghosts Believe in Me on Facebook, or Hollywood Ghost Hunters on Facebook. Everywhere.
They're all over the place.
But anyway, I said, how would you like to do me a favor? I said, would you like to wear one of my shirts, and I'll take a picture of you and I'll put you in my magazine, right? So on that page, check this out. Some people, Chris Fleming, Scott Grunwald, Abigail, the girl, and this one other girl, I think it was Brenda York with a hockey mascot in the shirt, right? But yeah, it was so cool. She really dug it, and now she's like a fashion model,
Yeah.
right? Or somebody with money is buying her stuff because she's always dressed like $1,000 worth of clothes. And
Yeah.
yeah, she was so sweet. I haven't talked to her since she's older. I'm sure she's just older and sweet. So yeah, but that was
I'm
pretty
sure
cool.
she's still sweet.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, she was real nice.
Lori had posted um, about Colton Hill. I think that's a cool experience that y'all had.
That was strange. Uh, if you ever see Calton Hill, it's probably 100 yards of a flat area that goes straight up the hill. And there's a handrail in the middle. And we're walking up. She's ahead of me, and I'm walking behind her in case she stumbles or falls or anything. Because at that time she was having a hard time walking. And I was right behind her, and I heard a guy right over my shoulder, and in a real snarky voice goes, "Pardon me," right? And I didn't like his tone. Right? I turned around to say something, and I looked down. I can see 75 yards of nothing but hedges and nobody.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, "Lori, did you hear anything?" She goes, "I heard the guy say, 'Pardon me.'" I said, "Turn around." And she goes, "There's nobody here." I said, "Yeah." So that was a pretty cool thing. But yeah, that guy was a little unruly. I was about ready to give him the business. I said, "Well, you don't need to talk to
Nobody
him."
to give business to.
Yeah.
But
But that was something.
well, that was something. And I'm going to tell you that when we went up there, I know it was cold. I did not care. That was such a cool place.
Yeah.
And because we investigated the cemetery down at the base before we got to there. And then, I had no idea that all that stuff was just right up the street from us.
Well,
And it
you know
was
what I
so,
didn't know about it? There's a
hmm?
restaurant up there.
What?
There's a restaurant up there.
Yes.
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that either.
But that'd be kind of a cool place to sit there and look out over the bay and all that stuff.
Yeah. And we still haven't gotten to Holyrood Palace either.
Well, we got to go this time, but we got to go during the day before it gets late because they close up the other half of the place. They lock it up.
Well, and if there's a member of the royal family there, you can't tour it anyway.
Yeah. I wonder if
anybody's in
I
residence.
wonder if Craig has anything to do with that.
What?
I wonder if my buddy Craig has anything to do with that.
Probably not, but it'd be worth asking.
Yeah. Yeah, I annoy him a lot. All right, where are we getting into now that nobody gets into? Right? How about this place?
My favorite was you with your picture with the cup from the Open. I thought that was cool.
From the British Open, being him. Yeah. Yeah, he calls me up. He goes, "You like golf, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." Thought he was going to invite me to go golfing. Right? I get up there, and then I'm standing next to the cup for the British Open.
Yeah.
Little did I know that it was going to ruin one of our locations on the tour the next time we went.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to hijack that bus twice when she was trying to leave you and Lori behind the first day. And the other time when Jay and Natalie were coming back and walking. And
yes, she drove off and left the guy that created Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. And I went up there and started yelling at him.
That's not who you want to do it.
Don't worry, I'm going to come around again. I said, okay. He says, but if I stay here, we're going to get a ticket. So he drove around again and we retrieved them.
Well, what was so bad was we were pulling away right as they were walking up.
Yeah.
And
they were across the street. If they would have been right there, I would have gone up there and held on to the thing and said, "You ain't going." But he said, "Don't worry, we're going around." So.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I don't always say what an absolutely horrible, horrible tour operator that was, but I will now.
Well, I
because
agree with
you. I have never seen such a lack of coordination, a lack of knowledge about.
I'll tell you what they really lacked was respect for the people that were on the tour.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, one of the things that really made me happy is when she comes storming over the next day after you guys slept in my room, and she goes, "Yes, I want to talk about my room that I reserved, or that I said I wanted to have." And he goes, "And what was the guy's name? Joe, the
Yes.
manager?" Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, somebody already reserved that." And she goes, "Really? Who?" And he goes, "Him," and points at
Yep.
me. Oh, she was so mad.
Yep. Well, I have never, ever, and I'm old, and I've done a lot of
You're a
event
puppy.
coordination
Hush.
back in my younger years and stuff like that. Um, I have never seen such a lack of professionalism.
Yeah, it was.
And and she she dumped Lori and I off in a dive hotel and, left us
Well,
there where nobody knew where we were.
tell them what happened. It was an interesting part of the tour.
Well, she had not booked enough rooms for the tour. All of the people were not going to get to stay in the 14th century hotel that we had paid a chunk of money for because she had to combine tours because she's not a very organized person. So 2 tours came together where there had been one, and she had not booked enough rooms. And the people who were not original members of that tour got the rooms, and the people that were did not. And so that was a big bone of contention. And I found out about it when we were at the Stagecoach Inn because I heard her on the phone. And I just told her, I said, I paid to stay at that hotel. I do not want to go back to an airport hotel in Edinburgh when I paid to stay at that hotel. So you need to make other arrangements. So she dumped us off on the side of the road. And Lori was ready to run away. And I'm like, we can't go anywhere until somebody knows what's going on. We just can't. And so I finally got through to Jay on Facebook Messenger and said, this is what's going on. And I just need assistance. I just need, assistance. I don't need rescuing. I just need somebody to know what's happening. And that's when he got you. And that owner of that hotel that put you up in his private owner suite, that was amazing.
Yeah, I asked him too. I said, "Can I please let the girls stay up there and I'll stay in my original room?" And they said, "No." He said, "Only you can go." And I think the only reason he did that is because when I was explaining to it, I was with Joe and I said, "Joe, the girls have to have some place to sleep." I said, "If there's some place in the hotel that I can just lay on the floor with a pillow, I'll be good." Right. And he takes me into the storeroom. And it's got a carpet on there. He goes, "What about this?" I said, "Well, if I can have a pillow and a blanket, I'm good to go." Right. And he goes, "Hold on." And he goes off. And I think that told him that I wasn't really playing a game.
Yeah.
That I really would have slept on the floor. And he comes back. He goes, "Well, the owner said you can't sleep on the floor." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "No." He says, "He's not going to be here. And you can stay in my penthouse." I said, "Well, can the girls stay there?" And he said, "No." He specifically said, "Only you can stay there." I said,
yeah.
Okay. So when she found out about that, oh, she was so mad.
Well, it was brilliant. And, I think the very best part was when the people that were, approved by her walked in, and Lori and I are sitting there with you, Jay, and Natalie having a glass of wine. And they're just like, where did you come from? We're staying here. Don't you know I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall when that word got back to her.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that was fun.
But it was Joe Smiley.
Yeah, Joe
And
Smiley.
He has a great big Scottish knight sitting on some platform somewhere because he was our knight in shining armor, and you were too. And
You mean like that?
yeah.
Yeah, I would have picked him up faster, but he got caught in the wire from my microphone.
And
Um,
I mean, and Jay Bluemke has one too, and so does Natalie.
yeah, it's
So, because there were people that came to our aid.
yeah,
Lori said Dunvegans with all the exclamation points behind it.
Dunvegans is great. The only problem with Dunvegans is I always felt so bad for that homely girl that was waiting on us. I just always felt like her life was just going to be not that good.
They have a supermodel as a server. They have a lot of supermodels as servers that work there.
And
Beautiful women.
She was the sweetest person too.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really
and
fun,
fast.
Yeah, every girl in Scotland moves like a cheetah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only when I'm around.
Well, they have to walk on those hills, and they have to, and everybody walks everywhere. I love being there.
Well,
I think it's great. You either are on a train or you're walking.
You don't see a lot of overweight girls in Scotland because they're walking everywhere like a cheetah. Just zoom.
Yeah, and there's hills and there's cobblestones, and you're up and down and around and about. I love being there, especially. I love being in Edinburgh and Old Town.
Yeah.
But I love St. Andrews. You have to really work to find where the places are to go and like eat out dinner and stuff, unless you're Dunvegans, which is every golfer's dream. But that's it was a lot of fun. There's not any place that I didn't like, really.
Well, I like the place we went for lunch in St. Andrews. That was pretty good.
The Italian?
Yeah. That was a pretty good place.
But it was someplace that you had to actively look for, right? I mean,
no, we stumbled into that one.
We did, and it was great.
Just as we came across the street, it was right in front of us.
Yeah. And we were all hungry because we couldn't figure out, nothing sounded good because we wanted everything.
Yeah, and then we got in there, it was like, ooh, I think I had mac and cheese there both days.
I think you did.
Yeah, it was good. If you ever go to Scotland, that's the place.
Yeah. But there's so many places, and one of the places that we never really talk about, and I don't know why, but when we were in Paris, that was it was a beautiful, beautiful hotel. It was old, but oh my God, it was gorgeous. It's called Salutations, and you weren't well, so we went and investigated without you. But you didn't know because you weren't well. And it was so fun. And Mikey had that. In fact, I just turned on a property owner to that tape. Yeah, the EMF tape kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's something that we probably got more activity on than anything else, except for doing the Estes method and stuff. But the Estes was good.
That usually is.
Because there were Lynn, and I don't think Gary was there. I think that it was the youngest boy who just had a birthday. But it was really pretty good. But it was fun. But I got up and I get up and eat breakfast and walk around and stuff. And I got up and did a walkabout, took some pictures around and stuff. But that was such a pretty town.
I think that's where I was playing in my suitcase in the morning.
It was.
Yeah.
You were trying to see how many times you could get up and down in there.
Well, it was only one.
Crash boom
I went up and down twice. That's right when I knew something was wrong, because I fell down 11 times in my hotel room. Fortunately, 6 of the times I hit the bed, and then the other ones I was up and I was trying to get the suitcase and I started to fall, and I went back to the bed. Those were self-aimed, and then I
Yeah.
brought the suitcase up, and I opened it up on the bed, and I'm sitting next to it, and it starts sliding off the bed. So I put my hand on the open thing, and it slid me right off with it. And I fell onto the hard plastic suitcase, and I
Yeah.
had my arm stuck underneath me, and I couldn't get up out of the suitcase. I got halfway up, and I fell back into the suitcase. I was like, this is not what I wanted. But I came out.
Not
My
where I
arm was
wanted to
all,
sleep.
yeah, the whole arm was bruised from falling in that hard plastic. But
Yeah.
yeah, but when I got back, I found out because they rushed me to the hospital and gave me six transfusions, and maybe there was something actually wrong.
Well, and the worst part was that when you went to get those transfusions, I'm watching the fire news, right? And as you're going to the hospital, I'm watching them say the fire is moving into Burbank.
Yeah.
Well, when I talk to you, you're like, oh, well, I'm going into, Burbank to, Presbyterian. I'm like, no, do not go to Burbank. And
Well,
so,
the fire never got over there, but the smoke did,
yeah.
because I could
Well,
look
the
out my
fire was
window.
on its way with the smoke.
Yeah, well, I could look out my window, and right where I was the water tower for Walt Disney. Right, so I would look out there and I'd see the smoke, but it wasn't too much. It didn't get too close. So
Yeah.
and I was there for 4 days, and
Yeah.
figured if it didn't get me by then, I was okay. And it was
Well,
so sweet. The young girl walked me all the way out to my car, so I
yeah.
get a cheaper rate for the parking. And I think she was probably making sure that I didn't topple over.
Probably, because I'm going to tell you, that was very frightening from this side. I mean, David was so concerned too. We're like, where is he? What is he doing? And I think David was probably pretty ready to come and get you and take you somewhere because you were being a bit of a nut.
Stubborn?
And
Me?
but Wally, but that was, I knew that you weren't well, but I didn't know how unwell you were. And when I got home and you went to the doctor, and I'm telling David what you're telling me, and he's like, holy crap. I know. So
Well, I'll tell you
we
the
are
thing that
both
got
so
me.
glad you're okay.
When I came up the
Oh.
stairs, what? Tell
Lori
me.
said the snail rescue.
But anyway, when I came up the stairs, I live on the second floor. It's not any big deal to walk up the stairs. And I got up to the stairs, I opened my door and I closed it. Just as I closed the door, I couldn't breathe at all. And I had my hands on my knees, and I'm like going, and I'm not getting any air at all. And I know that in a couple of minutes, I'm going to black out, fall on the ground, and probably die. Right? You don't breathe, you don't live. Right? So I went like this, and I just said in my mind, God, please help me. And instantly I was standing straight up and going, like nothing happened. I was like, wow, thanks. Right?
Yeah.
So that's when I went to the doctor to get the blood test. And that's when I was driving actually to go to Walmart actually. And the doctor calls me, goes, Rick, what are you doing? I said, driving to Walmart. He goes, well, I want you to go to somewhere else. I said, well, I'm kind of almost there. He goes, I know how stubborn you are, so just listen to me. Your red blood cells are at a critical level. I said, what? And he goes, they're waiting for you at St. Joseph's at the emergency room. And I got in there and they shot me down the thing like a missile. And man, I was all hooked up to everything. I'm just sitting there going, oh, this is interesting. So looking out at the fire outside the window, so. But as they say, it's all good now.
It is all good now. The funny thing is that, Cash called me.
He did?
Cash called me. And he was like, are you talking to Rick? I was like, well, when I can. And he was like, is he okay? I was like, well, they're working on that. I mean, but he was just like, I guess you were in the middle of getting treated or something and he couldn't get you and he called me. So, but it was because Vandy has my number.
Well, the thing that was interesting is when this young nurse was so sweet to me, right? And this one doctor, another doctor came in and he was endocrinologist or something like that. He goes, "So you're in here for pernicious anemia?" And I said, "That's what they say." And he goes, "What was your whatever number it is?" And he goes, "And if it's under 7, you go to heaven." I was really, he goes, "What was yours?" I said 6.6. And he was like, "You're still here?" I said, "Not done yet." So
Yeah.
the little girl nurse was just going, trying not to laugh at him because he's just, "Yeah, if it goes under 7, you go to heaven." What? So here I am.
You were close.
It was trying, but fortunately, someone interceded on my behalf.
Yeah.
As I smile up there.
Well, you're too stubborn to kick off.
That's probably true. I'm not done yet.
No.
I got a few more people to rescue. I have to tell something about the time I saved my little brother, just because it's one of my favorite stories.
Yes.
When we lived in Oregon, we lived in a place called Sam's Valley, and it was so small that in my elementary school there was 2 rooms, 1st through 4th and 5th through 8th, and every boy had to play sports, so we couldn't have a team. And we had this one kid, Britton, and he always played right field. He never caught a ball. He was always out there looking around, right? But we had a lake right in front of us. It wasn't really big. It was probably 300 yards long and 100 and some odd yards wide. And it was a man-made lake. And my dad and a bunch of fathers had got made out of oil drums and then put a raft over it, so they would stay up. And it had a high dive. And I was 13, I think. And I swam out there and I look over and I see Cash and his mom in the water. And Cash was about a year old, right? And she's got him and she's swimming. And she was a good swimmer, right? And because she swam in high school and all that stuff. So it was only like 30 yards to the thing. So she's swimming to it. And there were 2 dogs, Major and Baron, who were half Great Dane and half German Shepherds. And they were huge and hairy. They looked like Sasquatches. Well, they wanted to go out to the raft too. And about halfway there, they realized they're not really water dogs, right? And the closest body for them to grab onto was Cash in their mouth. And they just started flailing. They were thinking this was it for them. And they knocked Cash loose, right? And he sunk. And I'm up on the thing. I went, "Oh, crap." And I dove in and I'm swimming around looking for him. And I'm out of breath, but I'm not going to give up, right? And I look down, I see one little white spot. He's only probably about 15 feet down. But this is what's so cute. I go down there and I see it's him, and he's sitting there and he's got his legs. He looks like Buddha. He's sitting like Buddha, right? And he looks up and he sees me and he goes, right? So I snagged him and took him back up. And I don't know how much longer I could have lasted before I got him, but snagged his little butt and got him up there. And when I got him up there, his mother was up on the raft. And
Yeah.
I think that was the one day that she liked me. But but yeah, but he was so chilly. Baby down.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. I know him. Pick me up. With his little hands, like babies do when they want you to pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. That's one of my favorite
And y'all
memories.
still have that relationship.
Yeah, but I couldn't.
And you're both rescuers.
Yeah, but I couldn't pick him up now. He weighs 245
In the water.
pounds.
In the water, you could get him.
He weighs 245 pounds. It'd be like not easy to drag his carcass up there. And I'm pretty sure I couldn't throw him over a fence now.
Well, he jumped that fence.
That was funny though. And you set him up perfectly for it. My brother and I were on her show, and I said, "Ask him about the time he jumped over the fence in the back, a 6-foot fence."
But I already knew the story.
Yeah, and he went, I did not jump over. Rick picked me up over his head and threw me over the fence, and then the Great Dane bit me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a
You know,
snack for you.
we have had so many fun adventures with more still coming.
That's true. I can't wait for
I'm
more.
looking forward to every one of them.
You know who almost decided to go to Scotland with us today, but had already told her friend that she'd go to Ireland with her? Was Sherry.
I would love that.
Yeah, Sherry would be real good to have around. Did I
That
ever tell
would
you?
be fun.
Did I ever tell you when she was a paramedic, she got in a fight in the back of the ambulance with this big lady who grabbed her sandwich, her lunch. She sat down for lunch, and the lady grabbed her sandwich, and she goes, "Give me that back!" And they start fighting, and they go out of the doors, and they're out thing, and Sherry's pummeling this lady, this big lady, and Sherry at the time
I
was like
wouldn't take her
130
sandwich.
pounds, and she's only 4 foot nothing, you know. So she socked this lady out because she's trying to steal her sandwich.
That's fun. I could see you doing that
Oh, you go for my sandwich. It's on.
without a doubt, especially from
Well,
Gelson's. But we are just about out of time.
oh
And
no! I had
I
too much fun.
know this happens so much. But you guys, you can see Rick the next 2 Sundays. He's going to be hosting Fate Meg Radio, and he's going to be having a jolly time with that.
Yeah,
So
please call me because I'd hate to sit there all by myself with no question to answer.
don't leave him alone.
Yeah, don't leave me on my own. No, not that.
You have no idea how much trouble he'll get in on his own. Fortunately, he has Carl. So
Carl, save me.
Carl will save you. But thank you for being here.
Well, you know I love coming on here. I mean, this isn't any different than what we do during the daytime on the phone, other than people are looking at us.
Yeah, pretty much. But I just appreciate you. And for the people that are listening and people in chat, thank you so much because, y'all are the reason we do this. Actually, we do this all the time. Even without video. But, just we appreciate you. And if you're watching this in rebroadcast, then I hope that you like it as much as we like doing it for you.
Well, we'll have fun on those 2 days. The first guest I'm having is Mikey Thompson.
Yep.
And he's really cool. And we have had so many adventures together, like me and Kat. Of course, Mikey's usually with us, when we do that. So
yeah,
it was so funny because I was protecting you and he was protecting Lori. And I'm pretty sure that both of you can beat up both of us.
Well, certainly when your anemia is acting up, I can take you.
Yeah, you know what? My younger brother was the world heavyweight kickboxing champion. And he was getting real mad at me. And I said, "So what are you going to do?" And he goes, "I'll kick you in your bad knee." I said, "Well, if you're smart and you kick me in my good knee, then I'd have 2 bad knees."
Y'all are bad.
Yep, indeed. Well,
but Raymond is a little late in here, but I'm so glad you're here, Raymond. But go back and listen to all of it if you didn't get a chance to, because it was fun. So, but we are out. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you later.
Yay!
Bye.